Christian, you militant, them ask how I doing them on the work of the Lord anytime we clock in. Sha la 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 la, see the gospel, yeah yeah yeah, sitting different, yeah yeah yeah, we not regular la la la. Gospel in a Patawa, Spanish over Panama, and me learn the gospel from me grandma. Gospel of it drop in and the downs, yo. A different thing when time the radical step in. A rush shirt, mesh marina, steam bleak, your body in. Other Christian, you militant, them ask how I doing them on the work of the Lord anytime we clock in. Sha la 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 la, see the gospel, yeah yeah yeah, sitting different, yeah yeah yeah, we not regular la la. Gospel in a Patawa, Spanish over Panama, and me learn the gospel from me grandma. Gospel of it drop in and the downs, yo. A different thing when time the radical step in. A rush shirt, mesh marina, steam bleak, your body in. Other Christian, you militant, them ask how I doing them on the work of the Lord anytime we clock in. Sha la 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 la, see the gospel, yeah yeah yeah.
You already know what it is. It's your homegirl, Lottie, Dottie. I'm in the building hanging out with Retro, and he ain't never lying.
Yo, what's up, folks? This is my man, man. You already know what
Say,
it
man,
is,
you know what it is, man. Special guest in the building.
You know, he's got
Much love and
toys,
respect to
he's
my
got
man,
he's
Retro,
got so
stopping
much
through,
going on,
y'all.
man.
Y'all know what to do.
Big Cell, you still keeping it 100.
I don't do nothing on purpose,
Okay.
but I do everything with a purpose.
Man, you just dropped a heavy one right there.
Hey,
I'm gonna have to
again,
digest that.
I do it for the people like you and for everybody else that have dreams and aspirations.
Yeah.
Let me tell you something. The hardest thing about following your dream is actually getting your ass up and following it.
Getting up and following.
That's it. That's the hardest thing.
I call him Mr. Blueprint because he laid the blueprint for motorcycle vlogging, and a lot of us podcasters that are doing our thing now, especially on the urban set, he's the blueprint, man. You know, so I believe in giving credit to whom credit is due, and so I stole a lot from you in terms of the way you.
But you can't steal nothing that I give you.
Well, that's true too.
I mean, and one thing about me and you both, we don't mind sharing.
Right,
You feel what I'm saying?
right.
Whatever we learn back and forth, and I'm gonna tell y'all something. You really need to appreciate the time and the effort that's put into these shows and these podcasts, even this right here.
Yeah.
To have a camera stand set up and all, you guys need to start appreciating that because again, we have it. So when we share it with you, it's just us letting you do it easy. Because let me tell you something.
Yeah.
I didn't have a Retro or a Big Cell to teach me how to motorcycle.
Right.
I learned the hard way.
Yeah.
You feel what I'm saying? And that makes a big difference. When you already got somebody that's doing it and showing you, it makes it a lot easier.
One thing, and I told you this before, but one thing about Big Cell, man, is when I would go to his channel for content and do my research on what he said, it came back to be factual, man. I mean, you don't put out a bunch of, some people just say stuff to say stuff.
I can't do it. I got people like you that depend on me. I got my OGs. I got the history before me. I got the heroes. I got the Miss Showtimes. I got all them people who monitor me and make sure that what I say is solid. Even when they disagree, we'll do the research. And I'm a research guru. I love it. So one thing I tell everybody, anything I ever tell you, if you can debunk it, please let me know. Because I mean...
What's going on, bro? What's the channel? Retro Philosophy Show, man.
Make sure y'all go check my boy out, man. Like, comment, and watch the video to the end. Don't skip no ads or nothing. Watch that whole thing through, man. Come check us out. And make sure you come follow me on Glide with Hayes, W-I-T, Glide with Hayes. And come follow me, man. Come check it out.
What's going on, bro?
What's the channel?
Retro Philosophy Show, man.
Make sure y'all go check my boy out, man. Like, comment, and watch the video to the end. Don't skip no ads or nothing. Watch that whole thing through, man. Come check us out. And make sure you come follow me on Glide with Hayes, W-I-T, Glide with Hayes. And come follow me, man. Come check it out.
You keep running away from your assignment like you got out. You ain't even got enough gas money to run away from God. Just stop and do what he told you to do. Like, I know you're tired. You wouldn't be if you listen. Obedience is free. You keep...
Yes, sir.
My man.
We got you, boss, man.
Love you, bro.
Yes, sir.
What's up, everybody? This is your man Pablo Frescobar on Retro Philosophy Podcast, talking about my newly published book, Courage Unveiled, Navigating the Battlefield Within.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, this your man Kodak, the most hated, coming to you live from the Retro Philosophy Show, where I always listen to my man, 50 Grand, Pastor Retro. You know what it is.
Retro, what's up, man? It's your guy Lavish coming in from the Motor City, Detroit, man. Keep doing your thing, man. Keep up the good work. I'm watching the channel. I'm watching it grow. Everybody out there, man, if you listening, man, show this brother some love. Go ahead and share this video. Go ahead and like, follow, and subscribe to his channel.
Hey now, this is the Mileage Bully, the Moto Mob CEO, home of the Moto Mob where legends are made. You are now tuned in to the Retro Philosophy Show. Like, share, and subscribe. You know what to do. Press play.
I'm not to say it all I got to say. A lot of people like to hold back. I don't hold back nothing. I take that like it is.
Who not like when me happy? See one straight road there to Ocean Boulevard. When you reach at the end, you see some water. Chuck off. Whether you can swim or not, argument done.
Yo, what's up, everybody, including Lottie, Dottie? You already know what it is. It's your boy Retro with you on today. This is the day that the Lord has made, and I will rejoice. And I'm going to be glad in it because God has been better to me than I've been to myself. And, it just is what it is, man. We want to talk to you for a few minutes. Hopefully you want to talk to us. 704-235-8408. That is the number that will connect us together. And I'm going to put that on the screen. Let's see where we're going to put it at. Maybe we'll put it right there. I guess we'll just slide that right on over there. And so you can feel free to call at any time, and we can discuss this thing called emotional intelligence. Yeah, emotional intelligence. We want to talk about that for just a little bit. Amen. How you doing this morning? Hopefully everybody's doing well. It's a beautiful day here in the Carolinas. It's beautiful because I woke up and I saw this new day. It's a day that I wasn't promised. It's a day that I could have missed. But God saw fit to wake me up this morning. They say He woke me up this morning and He started me on my way. He's the joy of my salvation. Yes, He is. Is He the joy of your salvation? Is He the joy of your salvation? That's the question I have for you. And so anyway, again, the number is scrolling at the bottom of the screen, 704-235-8408. We're going to change this here to bada boom, bada bang. Y'all just bear with me one quick moment. See if that's correct here. Yeah, that's what we want to do right there. And then we're going to save that. Emotional intelligence. Ladies and gentlemen, do you have it or do you not have it? Where do we start? Where do we dig in? I want to give a shout out to Apostle Bradley Taylor. Yeah, I caught a little bit of his live this morning. I'm going to have to go back and watch the replay. But he sparked this conversation here. I said, you know what? Let's talk about it, because he was talking about so many good things on this morning. Y'all bear with me one moment there. And so I had to say something. I had to say something about it. Good brother. I've been watching him for a little bit. It's amazing how God will allow people to not just cross your path, because a lot of us, we cross paths with people. And if you think about crossing paths, right? You're going one way, they're going another way. Okay. And you guys cross paths. So for that moment, you have an encounter, you have whatever you have, you crossed paths. You continue one way, you continue another way. But here's a thing that the Lord has been laying on my heart for 2026. It started in 2025. I can't speak for everybody, but I can speak for myself. And as it relates to me, as it relates for me, hey, we've got the one and only Lisa in the, ladies and gentlemen, let's make some noise. Let's make some noise. She said, I shared with my friend who has a PhD, in emotional intelligence. Hope she can come on live. Listen to me. I'm going to send you, I don't know how, spur of the moment. She got a PhD, so she might not be too spur of the moment. She probably busy and got things to do. But man, I'd love to get her on the show, Lisa. So what I'm going to do is right now, I'm going to send you a link that you can send her. And if she is interested in coming on this morning, good God Almighty, I would absolutely love to have her. Let me see if I can find you real quick, Lisa. Bada boom, bada bang. Let's do this here. There we go. There she goes. Dr. Duchess in the building. All right. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to do this here real quick. Because this is an individual who we would really love to have on the show and just chit chat with. You know what I mean? I am a spur of the moment kind of a guy. Boom. All right, Lisa, check your inbox. I just messengered it to you. I sent it to you in Messenger. So if this is a topic that she would like to get in on, by all means, just tell her to click that link and we'll make it happen. We'll make it happen. And if not, she can certainly join us via the telephone line. Good morning, everybody, including Lottie, Dottie. I see my son. He's watching on this morning, #motorcycle. It is what it is, and it's going to be what it's going to be. We here, folks. We here. Now, I've got quite a few things to do, so I'm going to jump in this, and I'm going to hit it, and I'm going to quit it. Now, I am 50 years old, and I am proud to say it. I'm excited to say I was 50 years old because there was a time in my life, my wife and I were talking about this several days ago, maybe several weeks ago, but some time ago we were talking about this. There was a time in my life where, I had no vision beyond a certain age bracket. When you're out there and you're living life a certain kind of way, you're living for the here and now. And I'm just going to keep it a buck, keep it transparent with you. At that time in my life, I had no vision beyond 20 years old. My wife and I, our story, we met when we were 15 years old. The Lord brought her into my life intentionally, with purpose and by design and all of that stuff. And we began to share a love that changed my life. Let me tell you this, folks. God is love. Okay. And so when we experience love in this life, many a times it's not true love or real love or love in its entirety, if you will. But it is an opportunity for you to begin to understand God. And what I'm trying to say is, as it relates to my story, when I met my wife and I fell deep in love, I don't know if I fell in love, if I jumped in love, but I got there. I was there. And let me just say this side note. I don't care how you got there. I'm just glad that you're there. She's, oh, okay, that's what's up. Praise the name of the Lord. And so the love that I shared with my wife, it was setting me up for God's love. It was setting me up for God's love. So, ladies and gentlemen, it's your boy Retro. You already know how we do things. We have a young lady, Dr. Tanya, who's going to be joining us here on the Retro Philosophy Show. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to take a quick commercial break, and then we're going to get back and we're going to introduce this intelligent young lady who's going to drop some wisdom, some knowledge, and some understanding on us, and we're going to go from there. So ladies and gentlemen, saints and eights, everybody, including Lottie, Dottie, keep it locked, and don't you dare touch that dial. All right, ladies and gentlemen, saints and names, everybody, including Lottie, Dottie. Without any further ado, we're going to go ahead and bring our guest in for this morning, the one and only Dr. Tanya. How you doing, young lady? Can you hear us loud and clear?
Yes, I can hear you. How are you?
I am doing well. Thank you for joining us on this morning for this conversation. One that is very important to me. And so, tell us a little bit about yourself, real quick, if you don't mind.
Yes, okay. My name is Dr. Tanya Seagraves Robinson, and I have a degree in educational leadership and human services, where I specialize in the topic of emotional intelligence.
Okay.
Yes, I hail from I live here in Tallahassee, Florida, but I claim Indianapolis, Indiana as my home.
Okay.
And Lisa, thank you for telling me to check in. Lisa is a very good friend and colleague of mine, and yeah, so I live, breathe, and eat emotional intelligence. It's a great phenomenon, a great philosophy to practice. Yes.
Absolutely. First and foremost, let me say this. Thank you for taking the time to come on and be a part of the Retro Philosophy Show. And I'm hoping we can possibly, get you on more frequently as time goes on. I heard this a long time ago. It's not what you know, it's who you know. Talk to me real quick about that.
What you know, and it's not what you know, who you know. Definitely,
Mm-hmm.
establishing relationships is very important, and that is one realm of emotional intelligence about your interpersonal skills. Okay,
Okay.
you got to be able to know how to uh, observe and meet people and be an
Mm-hmm.
active listener. To be an active listener, you'll be able to give some very good positive feedback. Because sometimes we just talk and we don't know what we're saying and how we're going to make people feel. And as we know with emotional intelligence, it's all about feelings. Feelings really do matter. And so, uh, you know, for me, I love talking to everybody because it gives me a chance to connect with people about what they're going through emotionally. We're in a world today in a society today where things are really going on, and we don't keep our emotions in check and be able to take that, what I call pause, breathe, and reset. It's
Mm-hmm.
PBR is what I practice. Pause,
PBR.
breathe, and reset. Yes.
Okay. Okay. So, doctor, if you would, Dr. Robinson, would you tell us why it is that you chose this field and how you got into it?
Yeah, so when I was doing my dissertation at Florida A&M University is where I received my doctorate degree, a great
Okay.
HBCU. Okay, and I was looking at teachers, beginning teachers in K through 12 education who are leaving the discipline under 3 years because of stress and burnt out.
Mm.
And I wanted to look at their emotions, how they were feeling. Do they know about emotional intelligence? Do they know how to practice the skills? And there are skills that you can practice. And so I got into it and I did the research and I looked at, probably about 350 beginning teachers. And it's amazing how that when you go into a school system and you're dealing in urban school districts in the state of Florida, that there was a lot of just pressure and stress. And a lot of them were just leaving the discipline under 3 years. So I was trying to help them, get into contact, and check with their emotions so that they'll know how to deal with stressful situations so that they don't run. They just know how to cope and have those, learn how to deal with the impulses that might make them become, with emotions, if you don't get them in check. It can be very toxic. And that's why, we just try to, emotional intelligence is so important, to help us be able to just relax and create growth mindsets, therefore so that we don't have to just go crazy and do things that we'll regret later or say things that we shouldn't say because of the heat in the moment. So we got to put that emotional radar in check.
Absolutely. So you mentioned the teachers. I don't know if you can answer this question or not, but based on your understanding, what is the average age of a new teacher?
uh I'm not sure, but many of them are, they go through their bachelor's year and then they graduate. I'm saying probably about 25 or 26, a new teacher that's coming out.
Okay.
Um, yeah.
And what does that age group have to do, or how does that age group play into not only emotional intelligence, but the awareness of emotional intelligence?
Well, I think that age group today, that's what your I think is your 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 uh, your Gen Zs, and maybe the lower of the millennials,
Hmm.
um, and they're very passionate. I did a study on them, and they're very passionate people, and their passion is great, but sometimes you just have to keep them, kind of calm because they're reactionary. They react real fast
Hmm.
without, probably, thinking too much. So I've talked with a whole group of Gen Zs, and I just try to teach them how that, when they're feeling something, they can recognize their feeling. They need to identify that feeling. And if they're feeling sad or something, or, know what triggers how you feel. Because
Hmm.
when you can identify the triggers, then you can keep your emotional intelligence pretty at bay. But to be slow to speak and to, just listen very carefully. A lot of, that age group have sometimes they want to listen because they know everything. But,
Oh yeah.
I find that you can talk to young people if you just meet them where they are. You're kind to them, and you listen, and you really listen to what they're feeling. A lot of times we don't listen to what people feel, and we hear, but we don't, but we're not listening.
True
So
indeed.
sometimes listening, yes.
Yeah. A lot of times we listen to answer, not listen for understanding.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Very well said.
I want to talk about one's maturity level. It is said that most people don't mature until 25-ish, in that area ballpark. Prior to full maturity, does one have the ability to operate or walk in emotional intelligence?
Oh, absolutely. And
Okay.
again, it's about the environment too. I talk to young people. I mean, it's about education and teaching. As I said, we as uh, in older people than the younger people, it's up to us to part the wisdom to them, to give them scenarios, to show them, that there's a better path forward, and if they would just, we would listen and
Hmm.
be better listeners, and they, some of them buy in and some of them don't, but because emotional intelligence now is becoming a really great phenomenon, and we do share that with the with the younger groups, and I did, like I said, I talked to the Gen Z's, the Alpha Gens, the Millenniums, and you'll be surprised sometime that when you bring something to them and can really communicate it to their level of understanding,
Okay.
which you
Okay.
have to do, it begins the level of understanding so they can understand it, and you give them situations, then they really are like, oh, okay. Do you know the difference between empathy and sympathy? Do you
Right.
know what interpersonal and intrapersonal? How the importance of establishing relationships, because you're young, you need to establish your relationships so you can get where you need to be successful. So yeah, I think if it's how we approach the young, and they're very technology savvy, and
Hmm.
you can pair emotional intelligence with technology. So yeah,
Okay.
it's great. So I meet them where they are.
Well, I'm glad you said that, because I have the philosophy, I have the approach that you cannot teach someone who you cannot reach.
Hmm. Okay.
What does that mean to you when you hear something like that? What does that mean to you?
Well, when you say you can't teach to those you can't reach, are you talking about mentally, physically, or spiritually?
I think it applies on almost every level. Maybe I can add a little bit of background to that. So you said a little while ago about once you begin to explain it on their level, a level where they can understand, then it's like the light bulb goes off and they're like, oh, okay. And then they begin to receive what it is that you're putting down. And so a lot of times we're approaching people from a level that they just can't really, and I'm not talking about level in terms of you're higher than anyone, but
Right.
I'll talk about Jesus, right? Jesus spoke
Okay.
and he taught in parables, because the parables that he put out were on the level that they can understand. A parable about farming, when he was dealing with farmers, he met them where they were so that it was easier for them to, not only receive what he was teaching, but receive who he was, because he respected where they were.
Hmm. Well, Great. That's a great analogy. Thank you for clearing that up for me. Okay, so let me give you an example. So when
Okay.
COVID was here,
Mhm.
COVID was we were confined,
Mhm.
and there's a group called Jack and Jill, and one of the ladies reached out to me. She says, "Tanya, I've got a group of kids here, 8 to 21, and they're really having a hard time being, closed in and can't socialize. Could you do something with them on emotional intelligence?" And I said, "Okay, so let me know who my audience is. Let me know the age groups and everything." So I was able to do a Zoom call with them, and they were really sad. They were, because they couldn't get outside, they couldn't play. What do they do, and so I kind of did an assessment, a pre-assessment, to see how they were feeling with the emojis. Hey, tell me how you're feeling, pick out, let me see, and so that when I finish, I can, hopefully you'll feel better. Um, so sometimes, when, again, it goes all the way back to listening.
Mhm.
If you have someone that's playing basketball and they're having a problem, okay, maybe I need to meet them on the basketball court. What's the problem? Are you having a problem with communicating? Are you having a problem with, you know, uh, just being able to perceive or understand certain things? You don't know the language. It just depends on where you are. Are you in church? You said church. Okay. Well, hey, or is the choir getting along with the
With the usher board.
with the usher board? And if not, okay, then we need to have a group meeting, have a conversation. Well, now you get to hear and listen. Okay, let's do some collaboration. Well, what's the problem? Well, so and so, this and that. Oh, well, I didn't know that you didn't like for me to do this, dot dot dot. So when you get to people on the level, again, you're listening to them. You meet them where they are. No matter if it's in the house of the Lord, if it's on the basketball court, if it's on, at the book club. I mean, I've done it all,
Mhm.
and you'll be surprised that, because people don't realize that. Well, I didn't know that, you know you felt this way. So if I know how you feel, and I know, what you're going through, well, we know our kids, we don't have food. Teachers put food in their classroom, so you got to know where they are, the environment they are, where they're coming from, and you can only do that by listening. That's the key word. You got to listen to, people will tell you how they feel, and they'll tell you real quick how they feel.
They sure
And
will.
yeah, so, and you got to respect. That's come with a level of respect too.
Mhm.
You got to just respect people and understand what they're going to. It may not make sense, but
Mhm. I did.
you can.
If you would, doctor, if you would identify three benefits that one could, receive from emotional intelligence. The first three things that come to your mind. If
Yeah, self-awareness. You got to
okay.
be self-aware, okay, of who you are, number one. Because when you have self-awareness about how you're feeling, if you go into an environment or somewhere and you're not feeling the best, and then you project something negative, then you're going to
Mhm.
get negative back. So it's very
Mhm.
important to have that self-awareness and being able to observe how others are feeling just as well as yourself. So that's one.
Okay.
Another is, definitely empathy. We all can use, empathy. Because if you don't have empathy, then you don't know how to get along. It's going to affect your interpersonal skills, how you how you get along with people and establish great relationships. This is what we're all about: establishing great relationships. Because when you do that and have that emotional intelligence, it's going to help you to be a more effective and better leader.
Mhm.
Okay,
Mhm.
because you'll know how to lead, and also, another key thing I always talk about this is impulse control.
Mhm.
If you do not have impulse control, man,
Yeah.
that can get you in trouble, Pastor. And I'm
Yes.
sorry,
Yes, ma'am.
that can
Yes,
get
ma'am.
you in that can get you in trouble, because when you do things, people do things from crime of passion sometimes, and that can be very volatile and toxic and can lead to some uncomfortable things. But if you can control your impulses, be slow to speak, and listen more. And that, I think that is good, because I may think that is some of my great ones. Have the self awareness, level of empathy, knowing your impulse control. And like I said, there's a term that I use. It's my key. That I'm starting writing a book. It's called PBR: pause, breathe, and reset. When you can
That
take a
part.
pause, yeah, when you take a pause, like, okay, something not sitting right with me. Well, it could be a pause in when you're talking to your deacon board. It could be pause when you're talking to your wife or your husband. Sometimes you gotta take that pause. I mean, walking away, think and about what you did, what triggered a feeling or whatever. Breathe, inhale and exhale. You're getting your body oxygenated, your mind, your brain and everything, and then you're able to come back into the situation with a clear hair, with more transparency, and you'll be able to get a better outcome than what you would have when you were there. Just 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 trying to lose
Yeah.
your control of your feelings and
So
and your emotions.
so many people are used to just doing what they want, when they want, how they want, that they don't, take advantage of the opportunities to, as you say, pause, breathe, and reset. I want to share a story with you, and I don't know what your time is like, so I don't want to, infringe or be rude.
No,
But
that's good.
okay, I want to share this with you. My wife and I, we have been, we're in the process of conducting some business. So we're doing our due diligence, and we're taking our time intentionally. So anyway, long story short, we're at this place, and an individual comes over, and he is really upset. And so when I parked, he was explaining that I parked somewhere where I wasn't supposed to park. Apparently, others have been doing it, and he was really almost irate as he approached me. And he was saying a few foul things. So I just looked at him, and I began to explain to him. I said, I simply didn't know, sir. And so I remained calm. Now, the way he approached me, if I wasn't careful, it could have, challenged my manhood. But because I'm so firm in my manhoodness, come on, somebody, I didn't allow that to rile me up, so I got a level of control there. And so now I realize that even though he is the aggressor, I am the one who is in control of this transaction here. So I kept a nice tone with the man, and I turned the thing right. And so before it was all said and done, he was pretty much apologizing for being so brash or whatever. And bada boom, bada bang. Yesterday I went back to the same location to do some more recon, if you will. And another individual comes around, another neighbor, he comes around, and he was so mad that he was shaking. I don't know what these folk got going on in this neighborhood. But it all boils down to emotional intelligence. Now, the first guy, when that first thing happened, my wife was like, "Oh boy," so we're kind of talking about it. And if we weren't careful, it would have deterred us from wanting to continue the process that we need to do for what we're trying to do. But again, emotional intelligence is so important, because that thing could have turned into, the headline story on the 5 o'clock news if I'd have let my emotions get the best of me.
Absolutely. Absolutely. What you just said and described, absolutely. You had enough, stamina to just, listen, and then you didn't come back with being a very aggressor, like you said, but you were very calm and
Hmm.
nice about it. And so what it did, it changed the narrative for him
It
or
did.
her.
It did.
It actually did, because had you been an aggressor, then it would became a different outcome. But because they recognize, oh wait a minute, this person's not giving me any blowback, so therefore I can maybe also calm. So that person then was able to get calm too. So
Correct.
it yeah, so your actions radiated a different type of reaction.
I want to talk about this real quick, Doc, if you will. When we talk about emotional intelligence, and when you can pause, breathe, and reset, it allowed me in that brief moment to understand where he was coming from and why he was coming from where he was coming from. Because one thing I've learned in life is not to take everything personal. Not everything that's offensive has to offend. And so when I began to look at it from his point, there was no need for me to get upset, because if I was in his shoes, I very well could have possibly addressed it very similar.
Absolutely. I mean, a statement well made. you know, and I have nothing but, you know, just great.
Ladies and gentlemen, saints and ain'ts, everybody, including Lottie Dottie, we have with us on this morning the one and only Dr. Tanya with us, and we have been talking about emotional intelligence. Emotional intelligence. Dr. Tanya Robbins appears to be having some technical difficulties. We're going to give her a moment to see if she can get back in. Possibly her phone may have died or something of that nature. But you've got to understand. First of all, let me say good morning to those who are tuning in. Tiffany Nichols, we see you. How you doing on this morning, young lady? Hope all is well with you and yours. But emotional intelligence is something that is not. How do I want to say this? It's way closer within reach than we act like it is. You know, the Bible says, if any man lack wisdom, to let him ask of God, because he gives to every man liberally and he upbraideth not. I believe the same thing is true for emotional intelligence. Lisa says we get in trouble. We get in more trouble because of our reactions. Yeah, I happen to agree with you, Lisa, 100%. Ladies and gentlemen, saints and ain'ts, everybody, including Lottie Dottie, we have Dr. Tanya back with us. Thank you for coming back in, Dr. Tanya. So emotional intelligence is something that is available if we would just, reach for it. So what would you?
It is available, and emotional intelligence.
No, you're fine. Go ahead.
No, you go ahead and put your thoughts. I want to hear your total thought. I'm sorry.
Yeah. So emotional awareness is something that is there for everyone, and I think one of the things that we need to understand is that people are acting a certain way, but for whatever reason, they feel as though they have a right to act that way. One's perception is one's reality, and if I allow their perception to control my reactions, then the situation just perpetuates. So I try to rob anybody from an ill or wrong perception of who I am. I don't respond based on the way they treat me. I respond based on the way my mama raised me.
That's powerful. That's and that's just that shows the level of respect. And a lot of people, that's what they always seem to communicate. They want to be respected.
Mm-hmm.
And they're saying that to get respect, you got to give it, and you have to earn it.
Mm-hmm.
And so I agree with you on that. And I've learned that when you do respect one another, and and respect their boundaries, and respect that everyone has an opinion, that you don't always have to agree, but you can agree to disagree.
Mm-hmm.
And I think once we understand that concept, that from an emotional intelligence perspective, then you get more of a cooperation from one another, when you can see that, hey, I don't have to agree with you, but if I show you some measure of respect, then and that says something about your character and
Mm-hmm.
your personality.
Mm-hmm.
And I
Mm-hmm.
think then you can have then that can open a door where you can make movement, toward the emotional intelligence principles, to be able to come alive in people, and you'll be able to communicate it, better. And then you have that understanding.
Doctor, what would be the most simplest definition of emotion that you could share?
The most simple definition of an emotion,
Yeah.
uh, anger,
Okay.
happiness,
Okay.
joy,
Okay.
frustration, sadness.
Mm-hmm.
We feel a lot today, even, simple definition said, we really are not happy about what's going on today in this world, and it gives us that feeling of, we get, emotionally just upset or frustrated right now.
Mm-hmm.
So I think, for me, the simplest one going forward, and is based on what is going on in the society today and how we all are feeling. We are feeling. frustrated. And but at the end of the day, when we wake up in the morning, we also feeling joy and happy because we woke up.
You
So
better want to know it. I'm glad I woke up. I don't care what's going on. I'm glad to be in the number, as they would say. Yeah.
People ask me every day, "How you feeling?" I said, "Well, I woke up this morning, so I'm already 100, points ahead of the game."
Right. So as it relates to emotions, the different emotions, would you say that there is one that is more prevalent than the other? Some people, they, like anger, for instance, because joy doesn't normally get the best of a person in terms of making them do something, sporadic or crazy. However, it is an emotion, but anger sometimes pushes you to do things that's not even in line with your character.
Exactly, and that is why earlier when I tell you when I shared, I'm sorry,
Mm-hmm.
that impulse control, being inflexible, being able to really control your feelings in different situations, because if we do not know how to, control that, the impulse to make us want to do or and understand what's causing us to act like that, that can get us in a lot of trouble.
Mm-hmm.
Real quickly, there was a situation where down in Gainesville, true story, where two students they were living together and someone had broke into the house and they tied up one of the young ladies and everything was going to be good. The roommate came in and saw the attacker there, and the attacker was just wanting to steal something.
Mm-hmm.
But when the roommate came in, she started hollering at the young man, get out, I'm gonna do that, and he just became so unhinged,
Mm-hmm.
and to the point that he ended up killing both of them.
Wow.
And it was because had she came in and for that attacker, he had the approach been different.
Mm-hmm.
Had had the situation been, someone was able to just impulsively control themselves, then it wouldn't have got out of sorts. And then because you bringing
Yeah.
a lot of tension and
Yeah.
to the situation, and when you bring an intense action to a situation, the reaction is very, like I said, very toxic,
Mm-hmm.
and it causes do some very you know the toxic situation is there, and so it got out of control. So that's why I say that impulse, being able to manage that, your impulse, being calm, being reflect, being to have flexibility,
So,
to be able to.
so let me ask you this, doctor, because I definitely understand what you're saying. I understand 100%. And almost the first thing that came to my mind is, when you see a dog, you're walking down through the park and you see a dog, and the dog is minding his business. He ain't really thinking about you. But the moment you start to run, now he's going to run after you, and then you may end up having an attack. So I want to say this as it relates to the story that you just shared. The robber was in control of the situation. He had the young lady tied up, and he was getting ready to do what he wanted to do as far as take the belongings and probably leave.
Yep.
When the other girl comes in, she wasn't able to control her emotions, and as a result, it added fuel to fire, causing him to feel. I'm not even going to try to imagine what he felt, but I can, well, I guess I will. He probably felt like he was losing control and had to do something to regain control, and just one thing led to another, and bada boom, bada bang. So even though she was in the right to be upset because this robber was in her home, but does you being in the right give you the right to just display any kind of emotion? And I'm asking this question for a more broad spectrum versus just this particular story, because the Bible says everything that's lawful isn't expedient. So is there ever a time where I have the right to be angry, but emotional intelligence will cause me to be calm, cool, collective, and understanding?
Absolutely. Yes, we all have that right because remember, your emotions is innate. We all have them. We all
Mm-hmm.
have emotions, and we all, I think, we all do have a right to feel whatever emotion that we're feeling that is dictated by whatever situation we are in.
Mm-hmm.
But again, it takes the intelligence. That's it. It takes the EQ. I mean the EI and not the IQ. The EQ is the emotional side. That human behavior side. So
Okay.
it takes that part and combine with that IQ, the intellect, and you put them together. You know, then that helps us to make a very informative decision. So yes, we all have the right to feel whatever the emotion that is, but we should be taught or coached, how to deal with that emotion so it doesn't, be cause any chaos, if that makes sense.
It does. Let me ask you this question that may not make sense. I'm just that weird kind of guy.
Okay, that's okay.
So we have our emotions, right? Um, but our emotions are one thing. Let me
Hmm.
say it this way. Would you agree that it's not until our feelings collide with our emotions that things get bad?
I agree.
Okay. And why would you agree with such a statement? What brings validity to such a statement?
Well, because without any feelings, you can't have an emotion. I mean, how can you if you're not feeling nothing, then what if it's zero? I don't feel anything.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just void of any feeling. A feeling, creates, I'm sad because that sadness, comes on, and then is that because maybe you lost your grandmother or someone,
Mm-hmm.
okay, and because of your loss,
So
then
here's what I would want to interject there if I could, doctor. And excuse me for being rude,
no,
but
no,
I'm sad, right? So that's the emotion. But the
that's the emotion. Yeah.
feeling that I'm having that's causing the sadness to become a problem is the fact that I feel lost. So I think sometimes we deal with emotions with the lack of emotional intelligence, and it causes those emotions to run wild and turn into other things. So if I am sad because I lost my grandmother, and I'm feeling lost, the emotional intelligence is that I still got my granddaddy, I still got my mama, my daddy, my cousins, I got Dr. Tanya, I still have people. So there's no need for me to feel lost. This is just an emotion that may need to run its course or may need to, whatever the case may be. But so I think that the emotions are one thing, but it's our feelings that begin to cause the bigger problems.
Well, now you just preached it, preacher. I, there's nothing I can say. You said it very well.
You
And baby,
sparked it.
you
You
better
sparked
preach.
it. Man, I really appreciate you coming on this morning, Dr. Tanya. Anything else you want to share with the listening audience?
Well, first of all, I am so excited that I was asked to come on. So I'm going to give a shout out to Lisa. Thank you very much. And also to be able to talk about this subject because it is so dear to my heart and it is something that should be shared and should be taught and should be coached. I also, and assess. There are assessments that can help you. And I think that it would be good for anyone who want to know who they're working with, the type of person that they're working with, and it can help improve, what your your congregation or your office dynamics or whatever. So if there's some assessments out there, I also give assessments. Take your assessments. Fill
Mm-hmm.
out where you are because sometimes when we think that we are very emotional intelligent, oh, I got high empathy.
Mm-hmm.
Well, you get five other people to take that assessment, you'll find out, well, maybe no, you're not empathetic at all. And
Yeah,
so, and it's not a bad thing. It's just that, oh, I can grow in this area. So if we are willing to accept, that there's growth in everything, even learning
absolutely.
emotional intelligence, then you would be it'd be very good because now we can be able to talk, sensibly. We can be able to hear, understand, and listen better, and I just, so I'm so glad for coming on here to let everyone know that, get embraced with your emotions, okay? Look and learn about emotional intelligence, and figure out, why you think that you would need it and how it can be of value to you. Because it can really be of value. And no matter what you're going through, no
Mm.
matter what you're going through. So thank you very much. And I really appreciate this opportunity. And maybe we can do this again.
No, I think we definitely need to do this again. I want to say this. I was doing some teaching not too long ago, and I was sharing with the church that information does not become knowledge until you receive it. And knowledge does not become wisdom until you process it. And so there's a lot of people who know enough to acquire certain things, but they don't have enough understanding to maximize it. And so when we begin to not only know what our emotional situations are, but we begin to understand it, then we can maximize. Because, when you look at the word emotion, right, emotions are severe essential functions that are necessary for survival. But when we don't have the proper understanding, the thing that was actually presented or given to us for survival becomes the very thing that can kill us, in so many words. I want to say this because Lisa asked this question. So before I let you go, Doc, does parenting play a role? Talk to us about how parenting plays a role in all of the stuff we've been talking about.
Oh, wow. That's great. Parents are the ones that give us life. They're
Mm-hmm.
the ones that are supposed to take care of us, and they're the ones supposed to have that self awareness of what we're feeling as a child and how we're feeling. Because if we fail in that area of being able to have the self awareness of self and of others, meaning of those who you are are supposed to care for, then how are they supposed to go out through life and navigate things, that is going to help them to be successful?
Mm-hmm.
Parenting, we teach our children right from wrong, or if they're having a bad day, we're the ones that's supposed to care and to make them feel better. We're the ones that's supposed to show them how, to give them the understanding about, it's not okay to fight, or whatever the rule is.
Mm-hmm.
But we're the ones that they look to. We're the role models that our children are supposed to look up to, in order to, because we're the ones that are teaching them. They are embedded in our environment. Okay. They know how we think and how we feel. They know what hurts us. And they know how to put the band-aid on it. So
Mm-hmm.
parenting is very important because it starts there with the parents. And if the parents can't, if the parents is not that other piece of the puzzle that will help us go through life and learn about, how to be a good person, how to deal with life, and the emotional landscape that come with it,
Mm-hmm.
then we're missing the boat. Um, so I think parenting is very important if you got a good parent.
If you
Some
got a
parents,
good parent. Yeah.
yeah. I mean,
Because there are so many parents that handicap their children.
yes.
There are some parents that don't know how to explain nothing. All they know how to do is fuss and holler and expect the child to get it. And I think that has been the problem for a lot of people. They grew up in a household where there was, how do I want to say this? There was no communication. There was a lot of talking, but there was no communication. And it's just holler, screaming, and I digress. So parenting is definitely an important role.
Oh yeah. I think
Yeah,
back
yeah.
in the day was you need to be what is it, heard but not seen? No, seen but not
Seen but
heard.
not heard. Yeah, yeah, yeah,
That's
yeah.
right. Yeah, you're right. Because that's where we spend most of our years, from the time we're born to 18, with our parents. And so if we got a good parent, and I can speak 1,000% from that perspective without going into detail and wasting up time. I grew up in a place where, yeah, I had to then embrace my emotional intelligence. I didn't even know what it was
Mm.
that helped to help me survive some of the things that the lack of a coming up into a good home,
Mm-hmm.
that I didn't get the benefits from. So, and that's why emotional intelligence is so dear to me, because emotional intelligence can help and did help me survive, and it helps me today to survive any adversity that I come up, and help me to be a be a more resilient person to get through things. So parenting is very important, and that's why I have, 4 daughters, 13 grandchildren, and I teach them about the importance of emotional intelligence. And I tell you what, it has really got them to. I get a call, Grandma or Mom, I had to pause, breathe, and reset today.
Yeah, yeah,
And
yeah.
the one question came, well, what happens when pause, breathe, and reset don't happen? Just like anything, you repeat it. If you
Mm-hmm.
first do not succeed, then you
Try
continue
again.
with it.
Yeah.
Try and try again. You tweak it here and you tweak it there. So, Lisa, that was a very good question. And as a parent, though, we have a big responsibility, and it's our response. God gave the kids to us as a gift.
Mm-hmm.
Train up a child that they should go so they don't turn. I mean, I ain't trying to quote no scripture. I can't get
No,
it
no,
right.
no.
What?
We were gonna go there, so I'm glad you did. We were gonna go there, so I'm glad you did. And the way I wanted to go there, I really was gonna ask you this question as it relates to that scripture. The Bible says, "Train up a child in the way that he should go, and when they're old, they will not depart from it." A lot of us are mistaking raising for training. What, in your opinion, what is the difference between raising a child, training a child, and why is it so important to understand the difference?
Wow. Ooh. Um, Raising a child, I guess. Ooh, that's a good one. And I'll try to break it down as best as it resonates with me.
Okay.
I can raise my child to be, you know, to want to be a certain type of person, or raise them to want to be, you always ask her, where you want to be when you grow up. I want to be a nurse, or I want to be this, or I want to be that. Training comes with, I think the difference is that training is more detailed, and it's more structured, and it
Mm-hmm.
and it gives you a plan in
Mm-hmm.
place, that you can train a child that if you do this, you know, if you use your, just something basic, if
Right.
if you use these flashcards that I give you and you practice this every day, then I'm training you how you will know your math. And I raised you to be a good person. I raised you to be a respectful person. I raised you to be a person that believes in yourself, that you can make a difference in the world, because you are you know you have certain characteristics and personalities. But I can train you to help to enhance, to
Mm-hmm.
develop, okay, and to you know be better at what
Mm-hmm.
you do. Now you have some skill sets, you have some tools in your toolbox that you can work with.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And so I think that's the difference, is that the training just seals the deal.
Mm-hmm.
You go through a college and education to get your degrees or whatever. That's training. You go to get certificates to help perfect
Mm-hmm.
what you already, know, or, that foundation. You're being raised to get those foundational principles.
Right.
The foundational principle is going to keep being able to build that house of emotional intelligence so you can stand on.
Amen. Amen. I like that. I like that. I'm a firm believer that we've got to understand the difference between raising and training. I say this and I'll let you go, about leaders. Leaders lead, good leaders inspire, Great leaders attract other leaders, but exceptional leaders know when to step aside. However, when that exceptional leader, he does not step aside without there first being training. We can raise people and provide for them a roof over their head, and we feed them. And I'm thinking about somebody that I know, and they'll remain nameless because when they were growing up, their parents gave them everything that they needed. You know, whatever they wanted. They had the latest fashion, the latest this, that, and the other. But that parent wasn't in the house. They were always working. They were always here, there, and everywhere. And so they raised those children, but they didn't train them. Training is hands-on, as you were even alluding to, and you know, and literally preparing them. And it's difficult to train because in order for you to show somebody else how to do it, you got to know how to do it. And a lot of parents are just fumbling through the dark, figuring this thing out.
Yes. You're right about that, Pastor. And I think it comes also from parents becoming parents, you know, at a younger, younger and younger and younger. They
Yeah.
and so and I think sometimes parents do fall short.
Hmm.
Um, and hopefully uh, they, can get back on the business of, like you said, raising the child in the way they should go, so they don't turn from it. But uh I it's just so much going on today, Pastor, that if we don't, keep our claws, our hand or our thumb pressing
Hmm.
in our children's backs, and keep, helping them to press on no matter what the situation is, and to, like you said, teach them, that, hey, if things are not going to always be perfect.
Right.
Okay, but there are steps and things that we can do to help sustain us and to help us to be able to manage and succeed and grow, with anything that comes at us. And as we always say, we do, you know, put God first,
Hmm.
and ask Him for that wisdom that we need. And thank God that, we have something that now is trending, and something called emotional intelligence, because this has really, as leaders, a lot of times, you get the subordinates get the training, but it's often the leaders don't go and get the leadership training because they think they already arrived and they don't need it, and
Yeah,
they're the
yeah, yeah.
ones that's just causing the problem.
Yeah. And then that creates a whole nother problem because they start walking in intimidation and everything. Because, but yeah, that's a whole nother conversation, Doc.
That's a whole nother
Yeah.
yeah, I'm sorry, I can go.
No, it's a whole nother conversation. What I mean is, we're gonna have to get you back on, and we're gonna just dig in right there because there's a whole lot to unpack right there. Before we let you go, though, low key, he's watching with us. A good brother out of Texas area. He says, "What deteriorates emotional intelligence? What builds emotional intelligence?"
Wow, y'all got me.
Oh,
What
we
deteriorates
be digging in.
what deteriorates emotional intelligence? I think that would be the lack of the lack of understanding, the lack of wanting to learn something new.
Mm-hmm.
Emotional intelligence about growth. That is another layer of growth.
Mm-hmm.
And some of us don't like growth, or don't like to. We like to stay stuck in the moment. So deterioration, I think, comes from just not applying,
Mm.
yourself. And the second part of that, I think you said
What builds emotional intelligence?
what both, yeah, the oh wow, the quest for knowledge, the thirst,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
uh, for wanting to be better than what you are, being able to touch something and leaving it better than what it was before you touched it,
Mm-hmm.
you know,
Mm-hmm.
and wanting to make a difference, inspiration, being inspired by certain things, and always wanting to, a child can teach us things, so
Absolutely.
always always have the quest for learning, because when you stop learning, then you stop living. You always, for me, my motto is that I want to learn something every day. I want to learn something new. I can be done. I'm an emotional intelligence, influencer, but pastor, today, the way that you know, some of the things that you said, I've learned, you know, something from you today, you know. So we always got to be listening and learning and
Mm,
wanting to grow and look at
absolutely.
different principles. Try the principles. We might not believe everything, but how you know you're going to believe it if you don't try it, if you don't explore it,
Right.
if you
Right.
don't, you know, so explore it, you know, identify it, you know, explore it, you know, and then apply it.
Absolutely, absolutely. Ladies and gentlemen, saints and saints, everybody, including Lottie Dottie, we were graced with the presence of the one and only Dr. Tanya Robinson with us on this morning. Thank you so much for taking time out of your day to be with us. And I believe you said you are out of the Florida area. Was that correct?
Tallahassee, Florida, yes.
Tallahassee,
By
Florida.
way of, yep,
By way of Indianapolis.
Indianapolis, Indiana.
I,
And, you know,
I almost
we
moved out there
retired.
some time ago.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
I sure enough did. I almost moved out there. So Tallahassee, I'm going to be in that neck of the woods. Well, it's going to be later on this year, so I will definitely, you know, make sure we stay in contact, and
Yes.
maybe we can sit down in person and do an interview once we get down to your neck of the woods.
All right, then. Lisa has my contact number, or if you need it, you know, just reach out to me. I'm always available. And again, thank you so much. This has been really great, and I love talking about emotional intelligence. And thank you, Pastor.
Well, before I let you go, if someone is watching and they say, "Hey, I'm really vibing with that lady, and I need to talk to somebody. I need some help with my emotional intelligence or the lack thereof," are you available for coaching or anything of that nature?
Yes, that's what I do, coaching, and I can leave my number, my Gmail. My website is almost done, and I'll give it the website. It'll probably be up hopefully in the next 15 days. We're updating it,
Okay.
but my contact number, if you want me to give that, I can, sir.
Sure, absolutely.
850-766-2133. That's and a email is Tanya TANYA .Robinson PhD @gmail.com.
THD@gmail.com.
Yeah, training, coaching, or even getting your emotional intelligence assessed to see where you are emotional intelligence, to either tell you
Perfect.
your levels or your skill sets to help enhance and improve them and develop them.
All right,
Develop
ladies and gentlemen, saints and ain'ts, the information is on the screen. 850-766-2133 is her telephone number, and her email is tanya.robinson, phd@gmail.com. So make sure you guys utilize that information, and we are doing some things for our leaders at our church. So I very well may be taking you up on this offer here to just kind of, you know, get you in contact with them and do some assessments and things of that nature. Because when you're placing people in leadership position, it's not that I have a problem with an issue that you may have. I just need to know that you have it so that we can make sure we put you in the right place, make sure we have the right support for you, things of that nature. And so often we hide the things that we struggle with when we really need to put them on forefront so we can get the help that we need. Because just because I have an issue doesn't mean I can't be useful.
Amen. Amen.
So, Doc, we appreciate you once again, and we will be in touch with you soon.
Thank you very much.
Yes, ma'am. Have a
Bye,
good day.
and have an emotional, intelligent day.
Yes, ma'am. That part right there. Thank you so
Bye-bye.
much. Yep. Ladies and gentlemen, let's make some noise for the one and only Dr. Robinson being with us on today here. And we're really grateful for her presence on the broadcast this morning here on the Retro Philosophy Show Morning Inspiration. Listen to me, folks. Let me tell you this. Low key asks a very good question. What diminishes emotional intelligence or deteriorates emotional intelligence? And you want to know the first thing that came to my mind? The first thing that came to my mind is arrogance. See, an individual that's arrogant, they can care less about anyone else. A person who is arrogant, they're all about self. And when you're all about self, you're not willing to be honest with your weak areas. You're not willing to be honest with the areas where you struggle. I have areas where I struggle. Come on, somebody. And so I have to guard myself accordingly. When you know you have areas where you are still, let's look at the word struggle, okay? And let's put a few different words in that place. If I have an area where I struggle, if I have an area where I'm weak, if I have an area where I'm, challenged or whatever, then I can't, it doesn't mean I can't continue to go forward. I just have to go forward accordingly. Let me stop, because we'll be here a whole nother 30 minutes and I got to go. Ladies and gentlemen, saints and ain'ts, everybody, including Lottie, Dottie, can you appreciate this type of conversation? Can you appreciate these type of discussions? If so, make sure you hit the subscribe button, because here on the Retro Philosophy Show, we're going to be diving into a whole lot more of this kind of stuff. What I like to do, well, I'll leave it alone. I'll leave it alone. I digress. Be intelligent. Yeah, emotional. Be emotionally intelligent. Do what's necessary. Ask the right questions. Do your research. You might even need to ask around in your family. Mama, was anybody else in the family, dealt with anger issues and things of that nature? And because, see, again, anger is the emotion, but your feeling is the issue. And so when you realize that granddaddy had an anger issue, grandmama had an anger issue, Uncle Peter had an anger issue, this one, that one, the other, and you're dealing with the same thing, then, you now you can begin to do a little, how do I want to say this? Some things that we deal with is because we were brought up that way. And I say this often: the devil will give you a thought, make you think you thought the thought, then condemn you for thinking you thought the thought. So what does that mean? What that means is this is something that's running in your bloodline, so to speak. You're not a bad person because you're dealing with something that mom and them never conquered. You have become a product of your environment. You have become lateral damage. Come on, somebody. And so now you can look at the issues that you're dealing with and look at them not from a perspective of self-condemnation. Nah, I'm better than this. And that's why I'm putting it on the table. And I'm going to walk in emotional intelligence. What I feel is not who I am. I know you say you were born that way, and let's just say you was. The Bible says we were born in sin and shapen in iniquity. So if that be the case, and it is, then it is not so much that God created an individual or created a species that was, because when he created us, he said it was everything else was good, but us, it was very good. So but sin entered in after the disobedience of Adam. And so from then on out, it was told to us that the woman shall bear through tribulation, through travail. Come on, somebody. Man's curse was by the sweat of his brow, and so on and so forth. And so it wasn't until after sin entered in that all these things begin to, all these bad things begin to happen, if you will. Okay. So it is not far-fetched to think that because of sin, one could be born broken. But does that mean you have to, or I'm gonna say how I feel it. Does that mean you have the right to continue to be broken? No. Because we have a Savior. And if we would get him, the woman with the issue of blood said, if I can but touch the hem of his garment, I know I'll be made whole. See, she wasn't looking to be fixed. She was looking to be made whole. I'm getting ready to preach. Let me get out the way here. Yeah, because I'm telling you, I'm getting ready. I'm getting ready to preach, y'all. But we've got to begin to walk in emotional intelligence. The Bible says, "Be angry." That is an emotion. So you have the right to be angry, but you do not have the right to sin. It says, "Be angry, but sin not." Yeah. And when you have emotional intelligence, you realize that this emotion is, number one, is here for a reason. But number two, I don't allow it to dictate my feelings. And that's what we have so often. We have our emotion, the emotion that rose, it begins to dictate to us how we feel. And we have to be very, very careful. I'm going to say this and I'm going to get out your way. I promise you I will. Because God has been dealing with me. And I must have been at least 3 things to transpire within maybe a 2 weeks period. And see, God will prepare you, then he will test you. It's just like school. They prepare you. That's why you're supposed to take notes Monday through Friday. Because come Friday, you're going to be tested. And y'all, I shared the story how I went into the restaurant, and the lady, she, was having a bad day, and it was obvious because it was very chaotic in the restaurant. And she comes around the corner and she starts barking at me and a couple other customers that were there. And my day was already looking like it was trying to slip, And I said, nah, I ain't letting you take me there today, devil, And I've got some ways about me. If you don't believe me, ask my wife. She'll tell you. But I had to bring all of that stuff under subjection. That was the exercising of emotional intelligence. And so I began to share with the other worker who kind of caught what was going on, who then came over there to help us. And I began to share with her a better way that the situation could have been handled. And I said, I'm having a bad day, but I'm not going to let my bad day cause your day to be bad. I bought the gentleman behind me. I bought their food. It was 2 gentlemen behind me. I purchased their food for them. And I said, you see this? I'm having a bad day. She's adding to it, but yet still I'm being nice to these perfect strangers, And so the lady, he was rude. She caught wind of it. She was ear hustling, And I'm glad she was. And so she comes back over there and she gets ready to apologize. And I said, look, I understand, you were having a bad day. It's hectic. It wasn't personal, so on and so forth. And we chit chatted back and forth. And I said, see, this is how it's supposed to be. We've got to help make sure each other's days go great. Something along that lines I was saying. So emotional intelligence is when you have a level of control, because I don't have full control, but I do have a level of control over my emotions, as well as over the way I respond based on the emotion that's prevalent. Because anger, the emotion of anger can get you in trouble just as well as the emotion of joy. You so joyful and you having such a good time that you end up doing some, you go a little too far, whatever. So, they all have their, okay, all right. I'll leave that there. I'll leave that be. Wisdom yields patience. Always overlook offenses. It's honorable. It is indeed, C1s. It is indeed. And then literally just as soon as yesterday, this guy, he was so riled up till he was literally shaking, and he was expecting a confrontation, but I refused to let my emotions get to. Now I failed that test so many times, so trust me when I tell you I have failed that test so many times in life. But you finally get to a point in life where you say you're tired of failing, and now it's time to win. Yeah, it's time to win. I ain't got time to fight. I'm too busy winning over here. Bada boom, bada bang. Yeah, I ain't got time to fight. I'm too busy winning over here. So I choose, and I encourage you to choose to walk in emotional intelligence and conquer all things that come against you. Ladies and gentlemen, saints and ain'ts, everybody, including Lottie Dottie, it's your boy Retro. Thank you for pressing play. I'm gonna get out of your way, man. You have a good day.
Hey now, this is the Mileage Bully, the Moto Mob CEO, home of the Moto Mob where legends are made. You are now tuned in to the Retro Philosophy Show. Like, share, and subscribe. You know what to do. Press play.
Ladies and gentlemen, saints and ain'ts, everybody, including Lottie Dottie. It's your boy Retro. Let you know that registration for Mission 448 is open. You can register today and ride the four corners of your state or multiple states. Who's going to be the first to collect the four corners of each of the lower 48 states? Hashtag Who's Got Next. Register today and ride the four corners of your state.
Ladies and gentlemen, we got the one and only Mr. Loki in the building. You already know what it is, man.
Brother Deacon.
That's my man right here, man.
Good to see you, brother.
Good to see you as well.
I love you, man. I love you. Keep
love
up
you
your
too,
work,
brother.
man.
You as well, man.
Hey, tell the wife I said, hey.
All right, we'll do.
Ladies and gentlemen, saints and ain'ts, everybody, including Lottie Dottie, it's your boy Retro. Honored to be standing right here with the one and only Pop-Off in the building. And if you don't know how she got that name, don't find out the hard way. That's all I got to say. That's all I'm saying.
I've matured.
Okay. That's a different time. Okay. But Pop-Off hit me up the other day and says, hey, man, I'm going to knock out Georgia Four Corners. So we have her patch right here. Bada boom, bada bang. Hashtag Who Got Next. Pop-Off, we want to say thank you for taking time out of your day to knock that out for us.
For sure.
And
Thank
that's
you.
your patch right there.
I appreciate you.
She's officially been patched. You got anything you want to say about the ride?
Honestly, it was a great ride. Pressure did an awesome job of mapping everything out.
Yeah.
Her husband and one of the other bros came down and they escorted us the whole way. So it was extremely peaceful, relaxing. We got our speeds up, but that's for off the camera talk.
Yeah.
But we enjoyed all four corners. We had a good ride. Ultimately, I'm glad she stretched it out over 2 days and we didn't have to rush it. So we actually got to enjoy it. And I feel like when I do the rest of them, I want to do it the same way. Actually, be able to enjoy the journey and where we're going.
And that's what's up, because you can literally tailor make it as you want to suit you and your riding needs. But with this in mind, we kind of did it so that people would slow down and enjoy it, because there's a lot to see between corner to corner.
Yep, it was. And there's some stuff I was like, man, I got to go back and take pictures. You know how some of those small towns got murals? But I mean, I was like, we got to go back and take pictures. You can always go back and do an IBA, but it was better to do it spaced out. It was a good ride.
Ladies and gentlemen, you heard it right here from the one and only Pop-Off in the building. Mission 448, four corners of Georgia. Hashtag Who Got Next.
Yeah, who got next?
We have a community that we have to take care of. We have kids that are depending on us. I call them my scholars, I call them my future leaders, because that's what they are. And I let them know, don't forget about where you were raised. Be proud of where you come from and give back. It seems more family in Riverview Gardens. It would just be wonderful to get some people to get some of those jobs and help us get these scholars where they need to be. There's a new view on the horizon where learning is required.